Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Hit the bell icon button so that you don't miss out any tutorial.
With Vue.js, we get a variety of ways to apply transition effects when items are inserted, updated, or removed from the document object model. Here we will be taking a look at transitioning single elements or components. Vue provides a transition wrapper component which allows us to add entering or leaving transition for any element or component in the following context. That's conditional rendering using the vif directive or conditional display using the vshow directive, dynamic components, or component root nodes. So let's get started with a simple example to understand the transition wrapper component. So here you can see that we have a div created which has got this transition wrapper with a name called fade, and we are making use of the vif directive show, which is then showing this transition text. So on click of this, we are actually setting the show variable to true or false, whatever initially it is. So when I click on this button, show will be set to true and this will be shown, and then again if I click on this button, show will be set to false, and then this paragraph tag will be hidden but with an effect. So we are through with the div creation. Now we'll need to create the Vue instance. So we'll be going inside our main.js file, and here let's create one instance Vue, and inside this we'll be having the element. Now the element will be pointing to this div that we have created, so I'll be putting it over here in this way, and then we'll have our data. Now the data is going to contain the attribute show, which will be initially set to true. Now that's done. Let's save this. Now one more thing that we need to do, and that is writing the CSS for it. Here in our index.html, I can write the style attribute here. You can see a couple of classes are being applied over here, like enter active, leave active, fade enter, fade leave to, and we are setting the opacity accordingly. So for fade enter and fade leave, we are setting the opacity to 0, and when we are on fade enter active, then the transition is set to opacity 0.5 seconds. So what exactly happens when we make use of the transition wrapper is Vue automatically snips whether the target element has CSS transitions or animations applied. If it does, those CSS transition classes will be added or removed at appropriate timings. And if the transition component provided JavaScript hooks as well, these hooks will be called at the appropriate timings. If there are no CSS transitions or animations are detected and there are no JavaScript hooks as well, the document object model operation for insertion and removal will be executed immediately or next frame. So here, let's try and execute this and see it in action. So here you can see that when I click on this show effect button, this gets hidden in a very slow manner, and then again if I click on this show effect button, it appears with that fade out effect. So that's an easy way of applying animation or transitioning effects on elements. So there are 6 classes which are applied whenever enter leave transitions take place. First one being the vEnter, which is applied the starting state for enter, and it's added before element is inserted, removed 1 frame after element is inserted. Then we have vEnter active class, active state for enter, and it's applied during the entire entering phase, added before element is inserted, removed when transition or animation finishes. This class can be used to define the duration, delay, and easing curve for the entering transition. Then we have vEnter2, which is only available in versions greater than 2.1.8, and its ending state for enter added one frame after element is inserted. At the same time, vEnter is removed when transition or animation finishes. Then we have vLeave, starting state for leave, added immediately when a leaving transition is triggered, removed after one frame. Then we have vLeave active, active state for leave, applied during the entire leaving phase, added immediately when leave transition is triggered, removed when the transition animation finishes. This class can be used to define the duration, delay, and easing curve for the leaving transition. The last one we have is vLeave2, which is again only available in versions greater than 2.1.8. Ending state for leave, added one frame after a leaving transition is triggered. At the same time, vLeave is removed when the transition animation finishes. So here you can see that we have vEnter active. So on enter we have vEnter, then vEnter2. So the opacity changes from opacity 0 to opacity 1. Similarly, we have leave. So we have vLeave active, which includes vLeave to vLeave2. Each of these classes will be prefixed with the name of the transition. Here v prefix is the default when you use transition element with no name. If you use transition name as, for instance, my transition, then the vEnter class would instead be my transition enter. vEnter active and vLeave active gives you the ability to specify different easing curves for enter, leaves, transition. So what we have done over here is we have created a div which contains a button and the transition element. Now here, if you compare with the transition effect example, everything remains same. The only thing that changes is with the transition we have provided a new name. We're calling it as slide fade. Now all the classes that we'll be writing for this will have slide fade prefixed. So instead of v active, we'll have slide dash fade dash active. So here you can see that we have defined the classes like slide fade enter active, slide fade leave active, and slide fade enter, and slide fade leave 2. So here we have defined the transitions, and then in our main.js file we have created a new view instance which is pointing to that div CSS transition. We have initialized the show property, show attribute as true, and here when we will be clicking on the transition button, based on that the transition will take place. So let's go ahead and run it now. You can see that I've highlighted the text hello in the console. So if I click over here, toggle render, it gets hidden initially, and when I click back again over here, you can see how it's coming up or rendering with the transition effect taking place. And you'll also notice that the paragraph text will have all those classes applied when the transition is taking place. You can see that slide fade and all those classes are getting applied to the paragraph text.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, do give us a thumbs up and share it. Also check out amazing discounts and offers on our premium courses in the description below.